Welcome to NuttieBuddie Entertainment.
Okay, let's move on to the good then, and we'll start with Spencer this time. Spencer, what's one of your good?
One of my good. I really like Kashyyyk. I mean, people in fandom have known about Kashyyyk for so long, the Wookiee planet, and to finally get to see it was like excellent. And to see how it's so like much more natural. As I mentioned earlier, they have like wheeled machinery. They're, can fight in sea and land and air. Seeing all their different vehicles, it's just always, it's such a cool species, the Wookiees. So it's cool to see their home planet. I really like that. And seeing, Yoda has a good relationship with them. That was kind of cool too.
Yeah, I like that too. Real quick, does anybody have Chewbacca on their list?
Yes.
Okay, then we won't talk about it then. We'll let you bring it up. I was just going to ask. Okay, so let's while we're at you, Brian, what was one of your good?
Well, we talked about I had Order 66 in my good, as well as when Spencer brought up the Mustafar look. It's one of my favorite planets. I wish we would have gotten more out of that. But then also I had in my good the opening fight scene. I thought that looked really cool up until they got to the droids and into the hangar. But before that, I thought it actually it looked like a Knights of the Old Republic kind of like video game, as you were like watching it, kind of like playing with like all the ships and stuff. I like that.
Yeah, I did too. The only problem I had with it, and I didn't feel like it was necessarily put on here, but the only problem I had with it was the Buzz droids. I like the concept of them, but wouldn't it been more like advantageous or whatever to have bombs that actually hit the ship, because they went past Obi-Wan and then exploded, and then it's like if you would have actually just hit the ship and blew it up, I think Obi-Wan would have been dead. Just throwing it out there.
Well, I have a lot of comments about tactics in this movie, but we'll get to it.
Remember though, Jedi are not warriors. You got a good for us, Chris?
Yeah, I had the same thing as Brian. The opening shot, them swooping over the ship, card cut down to this like chaotic battle scene, and the whole opening sequence. I think exactly like Brian said, up to that point where the hangar, all the space combat, the ships, they're flying through huge shots coming through both sides and flying through explosions. That's I thought that was a very good scene.
Okay. I'm going to hit on Anakin Skywalker. I thought he was good in this movie. I thought he was portrayed really well. This is the Anakin I really wish that he would have had in episode 2 as well. Sort of like you could tell he was trying to be a Jedi and that he was conflicted and he'd have bursts of anger. Along with that, there was 2 times that you could see like how he was leaning towards the dark side, hypocritical moments, so to speak. There was one where the Chancellor asked him to basically spy on the Jedi Council, and he was all for that, but he wouldn't spy. He wasn't really for spying on the Jedi. How am I trying to word? Spying on the Chancellor for the Jedi Council. He wasn't good with that. And the other one was Count Dooku was too dangerous to be left alive. Chancellor Palpatine said that, but then when Mace Windu was like, "Hey, the Chancellor's too dangerous to be alive," Anakin wasn't having any of that because he needs to stand trial. So there was 2 like moments where you could see he was leaning towards the Chancellor's way because of their friendship and his attachment to him and Padme. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I just had that was, as you know, I always write down things that I don't understand or questions. That was one, because he's like, he says something about how spying against the Chancellor is against the Jedi Code, which is just a really vague, like, why, I guess if they're supposed to, like, suss out bad guys or Sith or whatever. I don't know. I guess it's just kind of I thought it was a silly line. Like we could at least have like throw a little more in there to be like, why does he find that that's an over the line thing?
Yeah.
But you know, that's not one of the bigger problems. I just thought that was kind of a weird line.
Yeah, it might be like, I don't know. Maybe it's in the Jedi code, or maybe it's just like because the Jedi aren't supposed to be deceptive or whatever. He might have just been like, hey, we shouldn't be spying because that's not the traits of a Jedi. And then Obi-Wan's like, hey, we're at war. Like, what are we supposed to do?
Which goes to, you know, they've been corrupted, or they're not acting, you know, as honorably as they should be because they're resorting to like dirty tactics.
Yeah, it shows.
So, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And then just one last thing, like when Anakin you know, like wasn't allowed to be a master when he was allowed to be on the council, not by the Jedi, which is interesting real quick, because this is one thing that I had a question about. He was technically still a Padawan, right? No, he was a knight.
He was a knight at this point. Yeah.
Okay. I was confused about that because he was still going with Obi-Wan on missions, so I assumed he was
because
still
that's why Obi-Wan is a master, because he's trained Anakin to the point where he becomes a Jedi Knight. So that's why he was a master. This was also covered in the Genndy Tartakovsky cartoon, but I guess you're just supposed to like imply this that he's not a Padawan anymore. They don't really like say that at any point.
Yeah, so that was kind of confusing to me. But what I didn't understand is like how the only problem I have with Anakin, he was so upset over it, and I like that like burst of emotion because it shows again that he was conflicted and stuff. The only thing I didn't understand is like, why would you expect them to appoint you a master just because the chancellor wants you to sit in on the council? That's never been done before. So I didn't understand like his logic, but again, that I guess might just be like,
I think he was thinking it's like a loophole, and it's like, oh, I don't have to go through training, you know, someone, and he can just get on there. But
that was another weird one for me, is why, I guess, the nature of the relationship between like the Jedi and the Senate and the Chancellor is why does Palpatine even think that he can appoint, like they're kind of like they're supposed to be like an independent entity. And why does Palpatine think that he can appoint someone to the Jedi Council in the first place? Because he's not a Jedi.
It's
hubris. He's got nothing to do with it. Yeah, you're not wrong. But I just thought that was kind of like, why? Because then they go along with it. And obviously, they explain why they go along with it. But it's like, why would that even be something that he thinks he can do?
And so go ahead, Spencer.
I was curious as to whether the dreams about Padme that Anakin had were from Palpatine, as if he had implanted that in his mind.
I kind of was thinking the same thing, especially when he brings up his mother. You know, I wouldn't even put it past Palpatine to set up the whole thing with Anakin's mom getting her kidnapped by the Raiders, and then, you know, giving him these forced dreams. Because it was very weird that he knew about it before, you know, talking to.
Yeah, I think that makes sense that would be the case.
Yeah, that's what I always thought as well, is that he did because he wanted Anakin to believe that his dreams were real, so he set up the mom to die, and then then Padme,
and, you know,
so it
if we skip
real.
all the way over to episode 9, we see where he, you know, connects Rey and
why are we talking about episode
that's
9?
what I was looking for right there. It all ties together, Ryan. You're not seeing it right.
I was enjoying this podcast until just a second ago. Okay, any other good? Go ahead, Spencer.
I did like the kind of, you can see how politically it became the empire and fell into more disarray because there was no separation between the government offices, and it just led to disaster for everyone. And even it was kind of hinted at in what's it called, Utapau, the planet with the deep trench, that it's like they're here, thousands of battle droids. You know, it's like we can already see that the empire is beginning to occupy all these places. They may have innocent, the locals are innocent bystanders, but the evil tendrils of the empire reaching out into every place in the galaxy, and you can see that that's not really the way to rule. So I just thought that was an interesting, political intrigue in this, that you could just see going deeper and deeper into the empire and deeper into just one single ruler ruling everything.
Yeah. No, again, and this is why I think, and we'll talk about the sequel trilogy when we get to it, but this is why I always think the prequel trilogy is better, just because we see a start and we see an end and how it all connects, and it's all fluid, and it connects into the next trilogy as well. But yeah, I love the way it started and then how it collapsed, how we got to see it all collapse. Yeah. Let's see, any other good?